Today we're talking about what happens once the INFJ finally wakes up and starts living their dreams. If you tell another personality type they should wake up and start living their dream, most of the time it involves them looking inside, recognizing what they really want and changing their external life. As in, stop working so much and go for the things that you really like, or, changing all of that behavior that is not helping you to get where you want to be. For INFJs, it's a little bit different because we already look inside. We're already focused on what is going on subconsciously. Does that mean that we're already living the dream? No, in most cases it doesn't. Because although we may be so aware of our internal state and about the things that really matter to us, the reality is we're not really taking action. And we don't know what is missing here, because most of the time it's not that we feel, I know what to do and I just don't have the strength to do it. It feels like no matter what we would do, it wouldn't change how we feel. And so therefore, why even bother? So today we're going to look into what it takes for an INFJ to wake up. How is that spiritual awakening really like for an INFJ? Because it's not about looking inside. We've already done this so many times. It's more than that. So we're going to talk about what it takes, how your life is going to change, and how you might be thinking that you're going through a spiritual awakening and it actually is something else than you always thought. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you haven't done this so far, to download the poster on the formula to an INFJ Epic Life. And if you want to take it to the next level, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide. Everything you need to know, you can find in the links in the description. If you would have told me years ago, before I had my spiritual awakening, before I had a realization of what I had been doing wrong and, how I would change my life, if somebody would have told me, no, you're not spiritually awake, you're not really aware of what's going on and what is missing in your life, I would have told them that's not true, because I think about what's going on in my mind all the time. And I also think about this when it comes to other people. I see that I understand others so much better than they sometimes understand themselves, that I look deeper within myself and within others. So what is actually missing? Is it really that I just don't know myself? In a lot of ways, it is. Because the point is this: yes, we understand a lot of things on a deep level, but we understand them through the lens of how that might look for another person. Meaning, we are really good at hollowing ourselves out. Every single time you feel you have a connection with somebody and you have a deep connection with them, it is always based on you understanding them, you going deep into their world. And in order to do that, you actually have to, remove yourself. You have to hollow yourself out. You have to become this blank slate in order to understand others so much, in order to absorb their world, in order to mash everything that is going on. And the problem with this is that the more you do this, the less you know what actually makes you happy. Because you might feel a certain way, you might feel happy when you're with a person, you might feel sad when you're at a certain job, but it seems like if you would, get another job, you would feel just the same. If you would get into another friendship, it would just be the same thing with another person. And so it seems like there is no way out, because you start thinking about it, you ask yourself, why should I take steps towards changing my life when in the end, I'm just going to feel the same way? If I have more money, I'm going to feel the same way. If I have different friends, I'm going to feel the same way. If I have a different job, I'm going to feel the same way. So why should I do it? The reason why we should do it is because we're currently not operating from the state we're going to be operating in once we start, our transformational journey. And how you feel today is not going to be the same way how you're going to feel tomorrow or how you're going to feel in 10 days or in 10 years. Let me explain this a little bit in detail. So, yes, it's true that if you say, no matter what kind of friendship group I meet, doesn't really change anything. It doesn't make me feel more satisfied. I still feel alone. I feel like the people around me are, boring, or I have no connection with them. So why should anything change? The reason why things will change is because you are going to change. What we as INFJs have done all our life is to just put ourselves in a certain situation and just be as, neutral as possible. We want to create as much harmony as possible. We don't want to rock the boat. And this leads to us being observers in the situation. It leads to us not changing the situation. The truth is, all of your dreams in your mind, they exist. But they don't exist in a way of, oh, I'm going to find them somewhere. For the longest time, I thought, oh, I know how great it will feel if I, meet the right kind of friends. If I have a job that excites me in such a certain way. If I, have a partner that I can be so myself with, and all of those thoughts that you have around being not only spiritually awakened, but living out your dream. And it seems like no matter where you look, your life falls short to that. And so what do we INFJs do? We do the smart thing in that moment, which is to say, well, if nothing is going to change, why should I exert any energy? Why should I continue doing the same thing if I'm not going to have a new result? And you're totally right. You cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again. But what we very often forget to do is to actually say, I have to change in a way I have never changed before. I have to start creating the things that I want. I have to start creating the friendships that are going to excite me. I have to create the kind of job that makes me happy and fulfilled. I have to look out and create the relationship that I want. I cannot look for a person and say, oh, that's the person that's going to fulfill me. Because the person who's going to fulfill you is you. And until you get this as an INFJ, you will continuously live out the cycle of, I'm so deep, I have so much to offer, I understand the world on such a deep level, and it seems like I cannot connect to anybody. You know what is going to make a difference in your life is when you actually start filling yourself up. And there's one thing I can tell you right away. You will become more superficial. You will become less into those deep intellectual things. You will be less aware of what's going on in your friends', deepest thoughts and, have the biggest empathy for them. Yes, that is something that you have to be aware of. That's going to change. And that in itself might be reason for you to say, that's not what I want. That's not in integrity who I am. I don't want to be a superficial person. I don't want to be a person who just cares about, my own well-being because, it doesn't really make me happy. But what we neglect is that we're not taking care of ourselves. Of course, if you hollow yourself out, all the positive emotions that you get are through other people, are through other people's experiences. These are the only emotions we're allowing ourselves. So if you say, I'm going to do less of that, I'm going to connect less with people, I'm not going to go so deep with people, I'm not going to be in my, fantasy world all the time, what is the sense of all of it? Why would I do this? Life is all about experiencing it in a way that makes sense to you, in a way that makes you happy, in a way that makes you fulfilled, in a way that makes you feel you can grow. So why would you choose a path that seems just good on paper, but it's nothing that's going to fulfill you? You should go down that path in order to get something that you've never gotten before, or at least not since you were a little kid, where you naturally are doing the things that are in alignment with who you are. And that is to choose you. To choose you and to make your life the focal point of your life. Oh, what an interesting concept. You are number one in your life. You are the main character of your movie. This is not something new, right? I mean, I've talked about it before. Other people are talking about it. But I believe that very often we don't know what that means. Choose yourself. Okay, so what does that mean? I choose myself. How is that supposed to make me happy? What am I supposed to do exactly? Let me tell you what that means. It means that you make choices for your future self. You start caring about things that currently don't really excite you, just because you feel there is no other choice. If you break off all of those emotions that you're currently getting from living through other people, you have to fill up your space somehow. And you cannot go through that path that you've gone through before, which was all about, I'm going to, get to know that person. I'm going to understand everything that they're going through, they're experiencing. And through that, I get some satisfaction in my life. No, the new thing is I'm going to get to know myself. I'm going to fill myself up. And, as a byproduct, when you fill yourself up, there's just less room for others. But that doesn't mean that that is a wrong way. It's just something that you haven't done before. It's not the norm. But once you start doing this, you recognize, oh, this was right from the beginning. Because if I'm not, honoring myself, if I'm not giving myself the attention and the care that I deserve, then of course nobody else can do that. But I'm actually not honoring my life. You're actually not being grateful. We have to understand this. We as INFJs, we go through life and we think that is the good thing to do, to focus on others, to make sure that they're good, that we are their savior, that, we help them with their psychological problems. You can still do that, but not at the price of neglecting yourself. Because first off, you will dry out. All your energy will leave you. You won't have anything left to give. And then you recognize why this was not a good thing to begin with. But hopefully you don't have to get to a place where you're just forced to go the other direction. Because that's how it was for me. I just was sucked dry from, giving in a way that was not healthy for me. Giving to people who didn't want my help, who didn't appreciate my help. And, me telling myself that I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. We're doing this because it seems like the easier way. Because if you choose you, if you say, I'm going to invest in myself, then you're saying, I want people to like me for me liking myself. And that is a scary concept. Because up until this point, it was like, yeah, that person is going to like me because I do so much for them. I help them in so many ways. Of course, they're going to appreciate me. But it is an unhealthy shortcut. And we have to understand that it will never lead us to where we want. So if we want to awaken, if we want to say, okay, it's time I start living my dream, right? It's not enough to have this in my mind and think, okay, I'm a cerebral being. I'm totally okay with, having all of these amazing emotions in my mind and my reality doesn't, show that. That would be fine. If that would make you happy, go for it. But I've never met an INFJ who can honestly say that. And I can tell you for sure it wasn't like this for me. And so once I understand I have to stop doing the old way, I have to start a new thing and I have to make a change. It meant that I have to choose me. And with that, you're making yourself incredibly vulnerable. I always thought as an INFJ, I'm always vulnerable because I tell people how I feel, because I'm open, because, I show them my weaknesses and, therefore I'm making it more comfortable for them. But that is not true vulnerability because we can do that with ease. We can be more open and not lose ourselves. The real vulnerable part in that aspect is to choose you, to say, I'm willing to take the risk of choosing me, doing the things that I think are good and the things that make me proud of myself. And if people think that I'm selfish, then I'm okay with that. I'm not going to try to prove them wrong. I'm okay and I'm going to say, you either like me for liking myself or this is not going to happen. And you will lose people through that. But that change is really extraordinary because it's not like your reality is going to change overnight. But you're still going to feel like you're living your dream. You definitely haven't reached it, but for the first time, you're telling yourself, I'm actively in charge of creating a better life for myself. You recognize that you had control all along, and you cannot live in a world where you take as much control as you can and you start creating the life you want without paying a price. And the price will be that people will see you. People will be able to judge you. People will be able to make conclusions about you that they might have never been able to make before because you just haven't shown anything. We're so good at not showing. We're so good at not making a statement. But now it's time that you say, in order for me to start living my dream, to making everything I thought is possible a reality, I actually have to start acting in accordance to that. And that will mean that people will misunderstand you. People will see what you're doing and have a completely different concept of it than what you're intending. On top of that, every single thing that you imagined in your mind will fall short once you start implementing it in real life. It will always suck in the beginning. But that is the point of it. The point is to say, I have all of my dreams, all of my visions, I have them in my mind. I've created them there. And now it's about taking steps towards that, leaning towards the life that I want. And with that, you start creating a self-image that is so secure that it becomes easier and easier to choose that path. And for the first time, you will start feeling the growth. You will feel how you actively working on creating your dream life. And it will feel exciting. It will feel like excitement you've never felt before. But it can only happen if you say, I need to be the one creating it. I can't wait for a friendship group to happen that's going to excite me. I can't wait to meet somebody who's going to rock my world. I cannot wait for a job opportunity to present itself where I feel, oh, that's my calling. I have to create every single one of those things. Because the one thing that all of those dreams of yours have in common is you. So the only way to make them a reality is for you to put your spin on it into the real world, knowing that of course in some way they're going to fall short to what you want. But you're the one who's making it happen. You're the one who says, even if it doesn't turn out great, I'm in control of that. I'm trying. And that aspect of trying and continuously improving is already the goal, is already the thing that's going to make you feel great. Because the moment you start creating, that's the moment where you are the designer of your life. That's the moment where you build the life of your dreams. That is who you are because that is what you do. And as long as you shy away from taking control of your life in that way, it will always feel like your life is running by and you have no chance to take control of it. It feels like everything is boring or everything is hectic or everything is sad. Trust me, you can change that if you put yourself out there. If you say, I'm going to voice how I see the world, regardless if other people see it differently. That's not the point. It is my life. And in my life, the way I see life should be, that should have priority. I'm not forcing anybody else to, go my path. But in my life, it has to be about how I see life should be. And I have to put all my effort into that. That doesn't mean that you can't, daydream or to be an observer. I love to do those things. But how I always say, we as INFJs, we don't have to do all the things. We just have to do the right things. So now it's time to take actions in all the areas that are going to make a difference in your life. So check out for that the poster on the 5 pillars to an INFJ epic life. Check out the free poster on the formula to an INFJ epic life. It will already give you a lot of guidelines how to make this happen. And if you want to take it to the next level, then get the INFJ epic life audio guide. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video when an INFJ finally accepts their mind-blowing nature. This is what happens.